All right, we're back for another episode of the Fittest of the Coast podcast. We got Josh and David joining us again. What's up, dudes?
What's up, my brother?
What's up, Kyle?
David, how you faring? You got a big week this week.
Yeah, a lot going on this week. Some traveling. Just got back from traveling, but hosting a big competition here in Myrtle Beach. So working on details for that.
Yep. No
rest. Are you ready to compete at this weekend? Huh? I've seen you testing some of those workouts.
We'll find out.
These Kyle sandbagging this weekend. That's what I keep saying.
He is a sandbagger, but I don't know, man. He's been working hard at the gym on these two workouts I've seen him. So
I'm not sandbagging, Josh. I'm not very fit anymore.
Listen, if he doesn't at least get a top 5 finish.
Oh, man, he put it out there.
I don't know what to say. I'll be honest. I don't know what to say after that. So
yeah, well, the thing is, I don't try to go to the point of really hurting very often anymore. So we'll just see how once I get to that moment in the each workout, whether or not I want to hurt.
If you want to keep going or not.
Yeah. That's why I run events now, right? Because you don't have to feel that pain.
No, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, but for those joining us, thanks for tuning into this week's episode of the podcast. And if you have been enjoying it, do us a favor and like, subscribe, and review the podcast. That would help us out a lot. We've actually seen a pretty good response so far from the first 2 episodes. So if you have tuned in, thank you. And we're having a lot of fun doing this, aren't we?
I'm having fun hanging out with you boys, you know. What else I got to do? Nothing, right?
Nothing.
Yeah.
You're not a busy guy.
I mean, it's like Tuesday night. I just had some Taco Bell. I'm feeling pretty good right now.
Yeah. Speaking of the model of fitness right there.
Hey, Josh has the perfect routine and diet set in stone. So
you better believe it. Let me tell you something. Everybody that's listening, you go to Taco Bell, Crunchwrap Supreme, 2 beefy melt burritos. Perfect amount. You're going to feel great afterwards. And then make sure you donate money to the education fund. I have probably given Taco Bell this year over $50-some to their education fund because you round up the dollar.
Yeah, round it up.
So it's great. I mean, listen, what am I supposed to say? What, they all say, would you like to round it up? 70 cents? I'm like, sure, why not? Right? So
good man. Josh Desmond, basically.
Right there, baby.
You are helping the next generation of Taco Bell scholars.
He's paid for crayons for at least one first grade class.
You better believe it. You better believe it.
Well, hopefully they write your name on it. But this week we're introducing a new segment that I think we're going to bring into the podcast every couple weeks or whatnot. It's in the essence of CrossFit and CrossFit workouts. We have deemed this segment that every minute on the minute segment. So what does that mean? So we are going to introduce 3 topics over the course of the next the next few minutes, and each of us are going to have 20 seconds, right? There's 3 of us, so we're going to introduce a topic, and each of us are going to have 20 seconds to give our take on that topic. So 3 times 20, 60 seconds, and then we're going to go to the next topic. So every minute on the minute. Are you boys ready? Here we go. All right, Josh, you can bat lead off. David, you go second, and I will bat clean up. All right, here we go. First topic. Josh, is Murph the hardest workout? Is the Murph the hardest CrossFit workout? Ready? Go.
I would say it's the top 2. And the reason I say that is I've only done Murph once, and I wasn't able to finish it because I threw up halfway through. The other hardest workout is 12 Bars of Christmas, and that workout kicked my butt too. There's a story behind that, but Murph is definitely top 2 hardest workout in my opinion.
All right, David.
I'm going to say no for several reasons, but I also don't like Murph, just to be honest. That's an unpopular take. I get it. But mainly because I don't like the way it makes you feel for the next week afterwards. And when you're working out for fitness, not being able to work out for the next week is no fun. But I still don't think.
My turn.
Kyle, I like your ending on the 20 seconds there.
All right, hold on. I'm going to take my own time. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, go. Murph is not the hardest CrossFit workout. I think it's a very challenging workout, but the thing about Murph that I don't think makes it the toughest workout is all the movements you can just do. They are not going to keep you from being able to continue to do a push-up, continue to do a squat. You can do 1 rep at a time, whereas some workouts when you have devil's presses, right? You just don't want to have to pick up a devil's press again. So no, Murph is not the hardest workout. It is a tough workout, but it's not the hardest workout.
Yeah, but
Thanks,
I think
David.
you went over 20 seconds there, though.
Yeah, he did.
I'm pretty sure that was like almost 30 seconds.
Hey,
I mean,
I'm the moderator. I can do it.
Yeah, that is some junk. I was ready to go, but
yeah,
I didn't.
So
I wasn't sure all the time.
All right, first topic done. Second topic. This past week, CrossFit HQ reportedly laid off 20% of their employees. Give us your take on what this means. Ready? Go, Josh.
You always hate to see when people get laid off. I mean, that's a very sad thing. I think there's 2 things at play here. I think 1, the economy, because it's very up in the air right now. And I think 2, now granted, this is a longer conversation for another time, but I think CrossFit Inc. is a very tough, profitable business. Oh, Kyle, come on.
Oh,
there was the punchline.
David, 3, 2, 1, go.
Yeah, I think there's very, very few times where we should rejoice in anyone losing a job. I don't want to say never, but I think there's a lot at play. I think that it's a systematic issue that they're having to address financially because of some of their financial models. And so I'm sure some of them are justifiable and other of those are just, they have to cut.
All right, 3, 2, 1, and go. No, I think it's very tough to see anybody, as David said, get laid off. I think a new CEO just came in and he's making changes. His job is to make that company profitable. And I think in the way he looks at it is, hey, I can cut some positions and make the company more profitable. So I think it's just simple economics. Next topic and last topic. If you're doing competition, do you prefer running as an individual or going as a team? Josh, and go.
Team for sure. I'm not good with cardio, pull-ups, bar muscle-ups, running, anything like that. Muscle endurance is pretty shot. So give me heavy weight and give me a partner that's good in all those areas, and we're going to dominate. Outside of that, individuals, I would be dead last. So that's my
take. So Josh doesn't like Murph. That's what I just took.
We'll come back. We'll come back to that.
Through. I'm not a fan of Murph at all. So.
Oh man.
Ready,
is it me?
David, and go.
Yeah. Team, I think it's just fun. It's always fun to be picked up by somebody else and to pick somebody else up when they need it. I like workouts where I get a little bit of a break. I can really push harder, and it also makes me just not want to let my teammate down. So I prefer the teams.
David, you are so concise. It's beautiful. That was 17 seconds. It was a wonderful answer. My turn. I prefer individuals, and the reason being is I like running solo, right? The outcome is in your hands versus your teammate's hands, where you could just sit there and your teammate just lays an egg, right? He lays an egg. I've had that happen before.
We've had that happen.
Looking at someone right now. So I prefer
individuals.
That's a low blow, bro.
And with that, yeah. This is why, Josh, I remember vividly in a workout with synchro burpees over a bar, me literally laying on the ground looking at you going, get up, get up, get up. And there's a picture of me basically going like this on the ground and Josh going like this.
Listen, I'm going to blame Nice for that because he programmed that workout. That was a Beachtown Throwdown workout. I was shot. I was dry heaving. And that was, 6 o'clock at night? I mean, I was gone.
It was beautiful. Sun was setting. Wind was coming in off the beach.
Oh, it was
amazing.
It was beautiful.
I was embarrassed.
The sun was in such a great position for photos. It was wonderful.
Man, it was awesome. Those are our best photos that year or that night, for sure.
Well,
but I will say
there
this:
must have been some pretty bad photos taken that weekend. Then.
Josh, it doesn't give me much confidence with his answer, seeing as he and I are being partners in an event in 2 months. Like,
see, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I hope you don't mess up because they'll throw you under the bus.
I
for
know
everybody
the
to hear
pressure.
about. I mean,
Right. The
on.
podcast will hear about it.
Oh, yeah.
First qualifier
Jeez,
release.
no.
Like, look what David did. He couldn't even hold his own weight.
I don't mind throwing Massey under the bus, right? I competed with Massey last summer, and he freaking couldn't get a thruster, or I don't know what he couldn't get, but.
Man, I hope you bomb this weekend. Now,
No.
This weekend.
I will, dude. I'm preparing to be in so much
this
pain because
weekend,
I haven't pushed myself hard in forever.
Dude, I hope you're the one that's on your knees, dry heat.
I will. I guarantee it, dude. I am going to be in so much pain after every workout.
I'll make sure I'm there to watch though.
Yeah, but yeah. This should be fun. Well, that was fun. Hey, Josh, I also like how you define yourself. Pretty much just give me a heavy barbell and everything else stay away from.
Oh, for sure. I mean, that's my go-to. That's my absolute go-to. I mean, my form is horrendous, but as long as I can move the weight, I think that's all that matters, right? You know, if I'm doing the reps.
I will say that is the good thing about teams is a lot of times you can strategize based and build a team based upon strengths, right? You know,
yeah, no, absolutely. Well, Nice, I mean, you did indies at Fittest of the Coast the second year. I was kind of surprised you didn't say indies because you did a really good job at indies that year. I mean,
I don't know about that.
Well, you know what it was? Maybe it's because I witnessed the highlight of you doing the handstand walk, and that is like the impression in my head where I'm thinking, man, David did great that weekend. So. Maybe my recollection is just a little off right now.
I'm not saying that if I'm in good shape, I don't mind going indies. The question was, do you prefer team or indies? So I strategize a lot. I like the idea of camaraderie of teams. I have some of the same worries, even though I think that I'm the one that needs to get picked up more. I also like having the outcome in my hands. If I fail, I want it to be my fault, not somebody else's.
I will say you feel worse if you're on a team, right? If you mess up, you're like, crap, I failed my partner. If you're running solo and you mess up, you're like, well, I'm the only one that's suffering because of me. Yeah. So there is some solace there. But hey, another thing that we've learned over the years is having great partners at Fittest of the Coast. And one of the great partners that we have is 212 Meal Prep. And on today's episode, we're going to be talking with Jeff Jensen, one of the co-owners of 212 Meal Prep. Him and his brother, Jason, co-founded the company, and we'll get into that in that interview. But just a little backstory on how that relationship came to be between Fittest of the Coast and 212 Meal Prep. So 212 Meals is probably the premier meal prep company in the Carolinas. They service much of South and North Carolina, and they're looking to expand elsewhere. But they do a really fantastic job. And this past year, we partnered with them for the first year, and it was just fantastic. We had been using other services in the past, and we had some issues. And actually, Jeff comes up to me during one of our events where they were at a vendor, and he's like, hey, we can solve this problem for you. And the problem being was we provide meals for our volunteers, and we were having some issues with some of that at one of our events, and like, hey, we can solve this problem for you. Like, we can make this turnkey for you. And I was like, yes, absolutely. We want to make sure our volunteers get great meals. So we start talking with them. We partner with them, and they provided meals at our event this past year. And actually, they even provided athletes the ability to purchase meals in advance and pick them up. And I just thought it was fantastic. And the meals were great, weren't they, guys?
They were great. That steak burrito hit hard. I'm telling you that.
Dude, that steak
I remember
burrito.
Debbie kept on running behind the stage saying, what do you guys want? And I said, Debbie, keep them steak burritos coming. And
she
probably made about 5 trips.
Dude,
people would come up to me, I'm hungry. And I'd be like, yo, Debbie, another steak burrito. Let's get it. So,
those steak burritos were fantastic. And their meals are great. They have all the macros listed on there, and we'll get into that in a minute. But what we're going to talk about with Jeff is a little bit about his journey, and he's going to get into that from being overweight to losing a lot of weight to then stepping on the stage in a bodybuilding competition, and to hear how fitness has impacted his life, I think is pretty impactful. And I'm really excited to hear from that. And with that, I think we all have, the three of us probably have stories about how CrossFit, fitness, et cetera, has impacted our life. And I'd love to kind of hear your guys' stories. I think, you guys know my backstory. So I kind of got into CrossFit. Shoot, I started training, doing like some sort of CrossFit style training probably back in 2011, 10, actually, like in the garage with some psycho in my neighborhood training for college football. And he put me through these workouts. I'm like, dude, these workouts are awesome. Oh, we lost Josh. Maybe he'll come back. But, David, so I started doing it that way, and then went and played college football and got hurt, and had 2 knee surgeries, 2 ACL surgeries, and I wanted to live an active life again. And when I moved to Myrtle Beach, I'd always wanted to do CrossFit. I did a bunch of CrossFit workouts in college, just kind of in the gym there. I looked like a fool. Like everybody was like, why is that guy doing muscle ups and all this stuff? But I didn't really know what I was doing because I was just kind of following just random workouts. I watched the Rich Froning documentary. But then when I moved to Myrtle Beach and I got into CrossFit, immediately I was hooked. And I was like, this is the greatest thing ever. And it really impacted my life is that having had 2 knee surgeries and been an athlete all my life growing up, being able to get my knees back in a place where I felt like, hey man, I can do all the things I want to do. I'm not afraid to do cleans. I'm not afraid to, jump, etc. CrossFit really strengthened my knee back to a point where I've never had an issue with it again. And that impact has played a huge part in my life. And, just how CrossFit's impacted, hey, running an event, that's been huge. But for me, it's just been such a vital part of my life that if I don't, I'm sure we can all say the same, that if I don't work out during the course of the day, I'm grumpy. And it's just a lifestyle now. I don't know about you guys, but what's your story?
Yeah, I'll go. So I am the oldest one on this thing. So for me, I'm kind of past that age of competition. I had gotten married. I had kind of ballooned up. I've always struggled. When I was a kid, I literally said food is my quest. Like that was my motto as a kid. And really it hasn't changed a whole lot. I've just had to kind of adjust how things go. But like I've always struggled with weight. And it got to a point when I married my wife, we were living in Anderson, and we both were just like, we needed something to get us going. And I had a membership at the Y forever. And I'd go in there and I'd look around like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to go shoot baskets. And so I ended up at the basketball court and never really working out. And so my wife, Amanda, finally said, hey, like, let's give this CrossFit thing a chance. The bar for me was the expense right out the gate. I was just like, I just don't want to pay that much money, blah, blah, blah. But she's like, I said, you know what? I'll give you 3 months. This was at Electric City, CrossFit Electric City Fitness now in Anderson, where we have several folks that participate in Fittest of the Coast. So that's where we started. She said, let's do 3 months. I said, okay, after those 3 months, I'm going to learn everything there is to know. And then we're going to quit and I'm going to go do it at the Y because it's cheaper. And after, after the first, on ramp, I did actually, this is my claim to fame. I did an on ramp with the one and only Allison Stahl. And so to see where she was then, to see now is even kind of inspiring to see her journey and her fitness journey because we did on ramp together. But after that on ramp and the first week of classes, I looked at man, I was like, we're not leaving this. And so that was one of the things we found as soon as we moved to Myrtle Beach was CrossFit. And there's a lot of layers to it, as far as community and working out and fitness and how it shapes our minds and our thoughts and things. But what it also does is it gives us belief that we can do what we want to do. And so, like, for example, when I'm at a weight right now that I don't want to be at, but I know that the solution to get back is to dial in my eating and to really dial in my fitness, my exercise. Like I know the plan, like we just have to execute it. It's not this rocket science thing we have to figure out. And so CrossFit has given me the tools to help figure out exactly what you said, Kyle, like part of the day, why it's important for fitness, why it's important to work out, things like that. There's always need for break. I just got back from vacation. I didn't even go into the gym or even think about going to the gym the whole time. I just needed a week off. But for me, it's been a journey of learning how to get my body to do what it needs to do to get the results. And really, CrossFit's helped me figure out my why. Why is fitness important to me, right? Like, now I got 2 girls, and I want to show them what fitness looks like in healthy lifestyle. But it's opened up so many other doors. I'm just so grateful for my wife convincing me to give 3 months a try back at Anderson.
Yeah, I think the thing that I love about the journey is finding new ways to make it fun, right? Like, hey, enjoying the training, enjoying the suffering for whatever it is, enjoying the goal, whatever the goal is. Like, what is the goal, that you're looking to accomplish? And that's what I love is, hey, setting some goals and say, hey, this is what I'm working towards. This is what I'm looking to achieve. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about functional fitness, CrossFit especially. There's always something to work towards, right? Hey, I want to improve on this, or hey, I want to lower my time on that. And the thing that's always drawn me to this style of training is the mental aspect of it, right? Is that, hey, like at some point the workout becomes mental. It's right. Hey, can I push myself mentally, right? I can continue moving, right? It's whether or not mentally I want to. And that's what's always been like the thing that I've loved about it. It's like, hey, you might be physically better than me, but I'm going to freaking out. I'm going to go out crazy you, right? I'm going to go to the dark place harder than you can go to the dark place. And that's one thing I like. Josh, man, what's your journey, dude? You have an interesting fitness journey.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could say that. Basically, I mean, moved down to Myrtle Beach after college. I was basically your typical gym bro, where I'm just trying to have the biggest arms, the biggest chest possible. That was all I did in college. And then after being down here, I kind of got bored. I was like, man, I got to find something to do a little different. And this is just a little side story before I started CrossFit. It's kind of funny, but I joined a boxing gym for a very short period of time. And I actually was 3 weeks.
Define short. How long?
3 weeks. It was 3 weeks.
Okay.
It was very short. Okay. But I was kind of like, I think everybody kind of goes through a phase where they're like, hey, let's try this. Let's try something new. It's like, let's mix it up. So I go to this gym, and it's not like one of those, like everybody doing a class type body. This is like a legit, like these guys know what they're doing. They train to fight. I mean, some of these guys fought, amateur. One guy I think even went pro. So it was okay for about 2 weeks. And then I don't know exactly what happened. I don't know if one day I walked in and the owner I didn't say hi to him. It was something very petty. Okay. That's what I do remember. And then next thing you know, that day I'm being thrown into the ring with guys who have been doing this for years. All right. Getting lit up. Dude, the one guy was okay. I got to be honest. He had a really good shot on me, and I was like, man, you should have knocked me out with that. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, okay? But then there's this other kid, okay? And this just kind of goes I guess you could say, and now I'm going to try and make myself sound a little better here, but this kid had been boxing for 2 years, okay? And at the time, I was probably about like 205, 210 pounds. I was still a pretty big guy. And this kid, I can't even make that. He may have been a $140, soaking wet. Small guy, okay? I'm in there with him. They start the timer. I'm like, all right, here we go. They're trying to coach me up. This kid just starts lighting me up, dude. Hits me in the ribs, hits me in the face, ribs again, and then he drills me with the hook to the side of the face, and I put my hands in there, so I'm done. I was like, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. I'm like, man, I got a day job. I can't go into work with a black eye, right? So it was humiliating. But the thing is, like I said, though, he's been doing it for 2 years. He should light me up. It's literally my 3rd week. So I was kind of bummed. But after that night, obviously, I just never went back. I was like, forget these guys. Threw me to the dogs. I was just happy I didn't have a black eye, to be dead honest with you. That was my main concern. I was like, I can't go into work after only being here for like 3 months with a black eye, right? But then shortly after that, I knew Kyle had been in CrossFit, and him and Morgan were encouraging me to give it a try. And then, I don't know, I think it was just one day I started showing up, and, the community is great at Updog. I mean, everybody was very welcoming, and it was fun working out with people. And then ever since then, CrossFit has been very much a part of my life. But it's kind of like how you guys were saying. I think it's very interesting how you join it, it takes a good 3-month period to really learn, adjust to what the CrossFit is. And then really throughout that first year, I think there's a lot of growth, right? I think we can all agree on that. Obviously, if you do something for a long period of time, you grow. But then you get to the point of where you want to be competitive with it. And I think that's a phase I went through. I'm still in it. I'm not.
Oh, man.
He's not too competitive enough to have good internet.
Yeah, he didn't want to pay for that, huh?
Yeah. David, do you remember what your hey Josh,
what's going on?
Your internet stinks, but it's okay. It's okay.
Okay.
We understand. Hey, you got beat up in boxing and you were a pansy and you said, hey, I got to go do CrossFit because I can't handle unboxing.
That's not what he said.
Oh, dude, I hope he get dead last this weekend, man. I hope you get smoked. I hope you get smoked. Because you know what? Me and my dad will be over there in the corner just ragging on you. Good God. Jeez. First at the beginning, now at the end. I'm opening up my heart over here, and you're just, gosh, it's a fancy good handle getting hit in the face. Okay.
You were cutting in and out. That's all I got from that. You know?
Yeah. Well,
he said only nice things. He said nice things about you while you weren't on, Josh. Just nice things.
Yeah. Well, I'll take your word for it. So,
anyway, finish up, Josh.
Well, basically now, I mean, it's at the point now where it's a part of my lifestyle, where I use it now, which is great for, you know, muscle endurance, cardio. I mean, outside of this, I would be doing no type of cardio in my life. I don't enjoy running. And if you really don't enjoy running, I don't really enjoy riding a bike. So what CrossFit does, it enables me to do cardiovascular exercises, which is really important as you get older, because, I mean, you drop that stuff, you know, that's just not a good way to live your life. So through CrossFit and really the community of it, it's had a major impact on my life. And I'm very grateful for it. I mean, a lot of my friends are still through CrossFit Updog in Myrtle Beach. So.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the big thing is the community. And that's what makes it so special, right? Is getting to work out with people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, right now I've been working out a lot in my garage just because of the way our schedule works. But this summer, my son Bear, I won't have to take him to school anymore, so I'm going to get to go to 6:30 classes again over the course of the summer, and I'm really looking forward to that. To get to just throw down with David in the morning, but that's just the part of it that's just.
Dave, I'm having flashbacks right now. Stop it. I'm just joking. Sorry, God. Sorry.
No, man, I'm glad that your journey led you to where you're at now.
I literally had to get hit in the face. That's what happened. And there we go.
Yeah, and that's what Jeff's going to go into here in a minute. You know, he's going to talk about his journey, right? How fitness has really impacted his life and his journey, and we all have that, right? It looks different for everybody, but it's a huge part of all of our lives, and I think it's something that we would heavily encourage everybody. Hey, man, make sure it's part of your life. It's going to impact your life and change it. The cool thing, and this is the last thing I'll say, is just the power of CrossFit. So my siblings, actually, they live up in Maryland. Well, my brother and his wife came down and helped at Fittest of the Coast this year. I was like, hey, man, you guys got to come help. It's awesome. They had never done CrossFit before. And my sister-in-law, Susie, at the end of the weekend, she was like, wow, to see what these women were doing and how strong they are and how capable they are. It was very empowering and inspiring. She ends up going back to Maryland and she's joined a CrossFit gym. And now she's hitting it 3 or 4 times a week, and she actually wants to do a competition now. So that is the power of it, and you know, it's awesome.
Absolutely, and I think that's the beauty of it. You get a little taste of it. You say, "This is really cool. I've never been exposed to this type of fitness community," and now look at her. And I think everybody can relate to that to very much a certain extent, and I think that's what it's all about.
Jeff, thanks for joining us this week. I talked a little bit prior to you coming on, a little bit about your story, but super excited to have you on here and hear your journey. Because number one, I think what you and your brother Jason are doing with 212 Meal Prep it's amazing, and you're really killing it. But also your personal journey. And what stands out to me is I remember in October, we were at one of the qualifier events. You're like, hey man, yeah, I'm gonna do a bodybuilding competition. I was like, really? And you're like, yeah. And I was like, dude, that's awesome. You're like, yeah, well, I'm going to sign up for it. And if I sign up for it, I know I'm going to have to work for it. Like, that's my mentality. And when you said that, I was like, man, this dude's the type of dude where he sets a goal and he goes after it. And I love that. And then flash forward, I don't know, 5-6 months, however long it was, you end up competing in this bodybuilding competition, you'll win it, and the rest is history. And there's definitely more to come in your story. But what is that about you that you just have to go after your goals? What is that?
Yeah, I think for me it's something I've kind of learned over the last 2 years in my journey, especially with like weight loss and nutrition and fitness, is that I am very, very goal oriented. And it's probably the reason that I've had a lot of success in business. Is typically with business, you kind of just jump, head first, and then you figure out your goals and you just kind of put your head down and go after it. And for me, I could never really make that connection when it came to fitness and nutrition. And what I found from doing 75 Hard and the Live Hard program is having that really structured goal, and then also kind of putting it out there for other people to know about, really helps push me. I am much more of a hate to lose rather than love to win type of person. And so really driving factors for me are, I just hate to lose. And I love, as kind of narcissistic as this sounds, I love proving people wrong. And, I've got a great support system, got great friends, great family. Like, I've really never had a lot of people in my life not believe in me, but I almost think it's deep down there's like that non-belief in myself when it comes to fitness, just because I've struggled with weight my entire life. And so really just figuring out those big kind of scary goals for me is enough to motivate me to really kind of see the finish line. And then also too, with being on this journey over the last 2 years, my mental discipline and just discipline in general has grown, 100x from all the different things I've done. And so that's obviously helped a lot, but yeah, it was super, super fun to do the show and win. And now we're going to compete in October for the big championship. And so that's kind of cool too, because coming off of a show, something that I didn't anticipate, that I had a lot of people kind of warn me about, is just like that crash of dopamine and all the things. Like, you're on such a high, you've been on prep for so long, you've gotten in the best shape of your life, and then you come off and what do you want to do? And I think this is relative to anyone on a fitness journey. When you kind of achieve that goal, you want to, eat some bad food, you want to relax a little bit. And it's crazy. I did 2 shows back to back, 2 weeks in a row. And then I had, kind of like 4 days of freedom where I just kind of like ate what I wanted to, like enjoyed the moment. And it was crazy. I put on 22 pounds in like 7 days. And so like the mental aspect of that, as something that's crazy as well. But having that goal for October is something that's really helped me too, because I have such a long-term focus. And now, we've already dropped like 10 pounds and we're on our way back down to being at like a good, comfortable weight as we kind of gear up for the next phase. So.
Yeah, absolutely crazy. And your story is not like the typical bodybuilding story, right? You've actually lost quite a bit of weight over the last few years. That what you look like today is not what you looked like 2 years, 3 years prior. Talk me through that.
Yeah, for sure. So really in the last like year and a half, I've lost probably about 100 to 120 pounds. And in the last like 3 years, about 150 pounds. When we started 212 back in 2017, I was like 350 pounds. And I kind of went through a journey of like health and fitness, and, obviously was fired up with building the business. And I probably lost about 60 pounds. And then just business got crazy. We exploded. We expanded to Charlotte and other markets. And then I kind of found myself in that like, I eat good Monday through Thursday. I own a meal prep company. I do all the right things. I can enjoy myself Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And what most people don't realize, especially people who have a significant amount of weight to lose, is you can't live like an 80-20 or a 90-10 lifestyle until you've reached the goal that you really have. So it's like, you know, I look at someone like you, ever since I've known you, you've always been fit. You're very consistent. You're always in the gym. You're always eating healthy. So it's like, when you're in that position, you can live like an 80-20 lifestyle, right? You can eat clean Monday through Friday and enjoy yourself on the weekends because you know your output of exercise, you know what you're putting in your body. Your body's very stable. But when you're someone who has a big journey ahead of yourself, you can't live that lifestyle. You've got to be really committed until you reach your goals. And then you can learn to live in that lifestyle. And so for me, I didn't learn that the first time, right? I lost a significant amount of weight and I gained it all back because I hadn't created the mental discipline. I hadn't learned how to have the things that I needed to have in my life to make sure that I achieved the goal in the first place. And so COVID hit, times got crazy, stress went through the roof, and you know, that led me to gaining all that weight back. And so it was really like October of 2021 when I finally like made that decision. I had ended up in the hospital in March of 2021 with like extreme high blood pressure. You know, at that time I was 33. I was like, man, what are you doing? You in a meal prep company, you're too young to be in the hospital with like high blood pressure and crazy things that most people your age don't deal with. And so in October is when I really made that decision. And I went full send on making sure I did everything I needed to take care of myself and put my health first. And so, yeah, bodybuilding was never like a dream. It was never a passion. It was never even something like I watched or studied. But after doing 75 Hard and doing the Live Hard program, and I've got a great coach who trains me 5 days a week. He's a pro bodybuilder. And so after kind of talking with him and watching some other guys that I looked up to on YouTube, it just kind of made sense. It was kind of the next step of like that big, scary goal of like, all right, what could you do to really push yourself to that next level to make sure you solidify, staying in great shape and staying on track. And, you know, mental discipline is like anything else. You got to sharpen it every day. You got to work on it every day. And if you don't, you know, you can easily lose it. And so, yeah, bodybuilding is, it's a very interesting thing, and so far I'm really enjoying the sport. So
yeah, well, that's absolutely amazing. There's just so much in there to unpack. And I have to ask, having gained weight, lost it, then gained it back, have you always, prior to, you know, losing this weight, have you always struggled with your weight, or is that something that just happened as you got older, had a family, had kids, you know, responsibilities? What's that been like for you?
No, I think I from like probably 12 years old and up, I was always like the fat kid in school. You know, put it this way, from the time I was in middle school until last year, besides my wife and I have been together for 17 years. We've been married for almost 11. Besides her, no one, including my brother, who's my best friend and business partner, who I travel with an absurd amount, no one had ever seen me with my shirt off. So from 12 years old until almost 34, you know, shirt on at the beach, shirt on at the pool. If I was in a hotel room with someone, go in the bathroom and change. So I've always struggled with being overweight. You know, if you've ever met my family, I've got 3 other brothers. We're all big guys. We're all tall. We're all thick. And we like to eat. And so that was something that I always struggled with. Now, obviously, as I got older, had a family, had a business, like the weight kind of packed on, but, you know, it was always something. I've always kind of been overweight and struggled with eating and struggled with being in the gym and consistency and stuff like that.
Yeah. And to go from having never let anybody see you without your shirt on to entering a bodybuilding competition where you stand on a stage and show off your body, it's the biggest juxtaposition I think you can go for. So as you know, when you're going through that process, you know, man, I'm going to be up there, shirt off, flexing it all. What is going through your mind? Like, was there any sort of fear that you had to overcome, or what was that like?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So I think when I decided to do 75 Hard, I knew that I needed something, like I needed extreme accountability. And so I made a commitment to myself that I was going to do 75 hard and I was going to complete it. And I was going to do it with 1,000% intention and effort. And no matter what, no matter how I looked at the end of 75 hard, I was going to post a before and after picture shirtless. And so I documented my entire journey on Instagram, pretty much daily, of me doing my exercise, me, the books I was reading, the food I was eating, all the different things. And at the end of those 75 days, I posted a picture of my before picture and I posted an after picture. And at that time, I had dropped a significant amount of weight. I had probably lost like 45 pounds, but I still was a good, I think when I started 75 hard, I was like 295. And I think when I finished, I was like 250. I still had loose skin, I still had a lot of different things, but I heard a guy talk about one time who's in the fitness industry that kind of had the same struggles. And he said the moment that he became vulnerable with the people around him and the people that followed him in his community is when everything changed for him as far as the impact that he had on others. And so for me, it was one of those things I said, I can either continue to hide from this, or I can try and help change someone else's life. And so I thought to myself, hey, I'm sure there's other guys out there that struggle with having, man boobs or, being overweight or having loose skin. And so posting those before and after pictures, the response was literally insane. And the response that I've had in the last 2 years of people reaching out to us and using 212 for meal prep, and reaching out to myself and my wife for coaching on nutrition, just the impact, the ripple effect that it's had kind of in our community has been literally nutty. We've had so many people, tell me, oh man, hey, like, just so you know, you motivated me to get back in the gym, or you've motivated me to start eating healthy again, and just all these things. And that's why I really wanted to make it a point when I finished losing all the weight, I got down to about 193 pounds. And did that all from just diet, exercise, clean eating, didn't take like a weight loss drug, didn't have weight loss surgery, none of that stuff. But that's why I decided to document having skin removal surgery, because I started researching having skin removal surgery, and there's just nothing on the internet of guys talking about like, hey, this is the process of like having a tummy tuck and having, the skin removed off your chest, and like a lot of very vulnerable things. And so it was really cool. We documented all that, and we have 2 videos left to put up. I'm currently editing, but we did a whole series from last July until a week ago, and we called it From Skin Surgery to Stage. And we basically documented my journey from having my skin surgery removal all the way until I competed in Tampa and won summer shredding. And so if anybody's interested in watching that, kind of seeing the process of like, hey, this is what it looks like to lose, 150 pounds, then have your skin removed, and then go through the journey of doing the bodybuilding show. We did that just in order to show other people like, hey, that this is an option. And, if you're blessed enough and have the support system around you and you can afford to do it, like, you can absolutely do these things and change your life. So.
Was skin surgery or skin removal surgery, was that painful?
So we're back. Sorry about that. So as far as the skin surgery goes, obviously you're under anesthesia when you have the surgery, so you don't feel anything in the surgery. Coming out of surgery, the first 2 weeks are rough. I'm not going to lie to you. It's a lot. And I had a decent amount done at one time. I ended up having a front skin only tummy tuck. And then I had the skin on my chest taken off and tightened to, contour, because I had a lot of skin and breast tissue from just years of high estrogen, being overweight, and, all those different things. And so first 2 weeks are pretty rough. You have to walk like bent over, like in like a hunch position. You have to sleep kind of sitting upright. So first 2 weeks are not fun. It's about an 8 to 10 week recovery. But like I tell anyone who asks me, if I had to do it again, I would 1000% do it again. Because the fact of like, when you're working out and you have all that loose skin and you're trying to do a plank or you're trying to do a pull up or a jumping jack and you got loose skin going everywhere, like the feeling of not having that anymore, and then being able to build muscle mass and like tighten that skin over time is obviously an incredible feeling. So yeah, it's definitely not a fun process. And like I try and teach my kids, we talk about healthy eating all the time. And the reason that I share so much with them and I tell this is like, hey, I don't want you to go through what daddy had to go through, right? Because there are ways to avoid this if you'll just do the right things from a young age. And those are things that I just didn't do, especially as I got out of my parents' house and lived on my own and, you know, started doing things like that, you know, fast food diets and stuff that's, you know, obviously killing America. And so, yes, it's not a fun surgery, but it's definitely worth it. So if you're out there and you need that surgery, one, feel free to reach out. I'm an open book about it. I will tell you all the details, send you pictures, all the things. And we have videos that show all that as well. But it's definitely worth it if you can do it, for sure.
And I love the fact that you document this experience, and it's you're vulnerable, you're very real, that somebody from the outside looking in can easily relate. And I think, you know, when I look at what you're doing and what you can do in the future, the fact that if somebody wants to do what you've done, it would be very easy for you to coach them through it because you've walked that road. You've worn their shirt. It's something like, hey, me, I've never walked that road. I cannot relate. I don't understand what it's like. But for you, you've been there. You've done the work and you've experienced what's on the other side. Have you had a lot of people reach out to you over the last few years, even in the last few months, saying, hey, Jeff, what do I need to do what you did?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I probably get hit up a few times a week from people that are just looking for that starting point, looking for advice on, you know, how many calories they should eat. It's crazy being in the industry now for 6 years. And you probably feel the same way, especially in the CrossFit scene. It's crazy because I live in it, but it's like what we do. And like, even with CrossFit is so not normal to the average person. Like when I talk about calories and macros and things like that, some people, it just goes right over. They have no idea where to even begin. And it's same thing with CrossFit and some of the lifts and some of the movements and stuff like that. It's kind of like a foreign language. So I get hit up all the time for people who are just looking for direction. They have no idea, you know, how much food to eat. And it's crazy. I see this a lot. Hey, I don't eat that much food, but I'm not losing weight. I can't lose weight. And so my immediate thought used to be, well, you're lying to yourself because calories in versus calories out dictate weight loss. And so if you're not eating that many calories, then you should be losing weight. But what I've kind of learned is they're not lying. They're actually correct. And what I mean by that is if you look at the classic American diet, right? You know, you drive through the morning on the way to take the kids to school and you grab a Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich combo meal. And then at lunch, you're busy, you run out of the office and you get Jimmy John's or Jersey Mike. And then, you know, dinner time, the family's all there. You order a couple of Papa John's pizzas and you have 3 slices. It's like, you really didn't eat that much food, but you consumed a ton of calories. And so what I think the disconnect that people have is they're really not eating that much food because they're not eating whole foods. They're not eating nutritiously dense foods, especially doing bodybuilding. Now I've learned about volume, right? Like you can eat an entire tub of spinach and it's like nothing, but it'll fill your stomach up. And so what people don't understand is they're correct. They're not eating very much food. They're just eating very crappy, non-nutritional food that is high in calories, high in fats and carbohydrates. And most people, almost every single person I've talked to over the last really year, doesn't come anywhere close to eating enough protein. It's literally mind-boggling. And so that's been the biggest eye-opener for me as someone who's in the industry, who's entrenched in it every day. I spend, you know, half of my week, you know, doing macros and making menu items and stuff like that. It's just crazy how little education we put into our society on proper nutrition and proper diets and things like that. So.
Yeah. So how does a guy and his brother in their late 20s start a meal prep company, right? If you had told me, hey, Kyle, I'm starting a meal prep company today, April 2023, I'd be like, yeah, Jeff, that makes total sense. You've gone through this crazy weight loss journey. You've done it. Let's go. But actually, 7 years ago, you started a meal prep company. Tell me, how did that all begin, right? And how has that evolved to where we are today?
Yeah. So in 2016, we had just had our first son, Levi. And that was my first like big realization of like, holy cow, man, you have lost control. And at the time I'd been an entrepreneur since I was 18, right? Never really had a true job, always worked for myself, multiple different businesses. But in 2016, for the first time I had a job. I'd actually sold my company to another company and I was running their company now. And I was absolutely miserable. And it was a great company, great guy to work for, great staff, really a great job. But I was just miserable because that's just not who I am, right? I've always been my own boss. I've always kind of been the leader of the pack. And so I had come to the realization that, one, I wasn't happy with what I was doing anymore. Two, I was spending all of my time driving a truck around, checking on job sites, eating fast food all day long. And at this point, I was my heaviest. I was over 350 pounds. 350 was the last number I saw on the scale because I finally just stopped getting on the scale. So I have no idea what I got up to. But I've always had a love for food and for cooking. I went to culinary school. I cooked in tons of restaurants in the Myrtle Beach area, but never enjoyed the restaurant scene, right? It was always late nights, not a great work environment. It's not conducive to having a family. And so always had a passion for food, passion for business, passion for marketing. And so in late 2016, when we had our son, I was just kind of at that point. I had joined a gym. I was starting to work out. I was starting to feel pretty good. And there just wasn't a lot of options for food. And so I started prepping on my own. My brother would be like, hey, can you make some for me? I would take pictures, post them on Instagram, so-and-so, hey, are you doing that? Can you make some stuff for me? And so obviously as an entrepreneur at heart, it kind of sparked an idea. My brother Jason was, for the first time, he was not working for himself. He was doing commercial insurance and he was miserable. And so we just kind of came together and we said, hey, look, like, why don't we take my skill set of cooking and our skill sets as business and let's try and help me lose some weight. And so that's kind of what happened. We looked at an old Thai restaurant that had a hood and a walk-in cooler, and we said, "Oh, this is great." We signed a lease on the spot and started ordering restaurant equipment. Maxed out 2 different credit cards, and Jason decided he was going to keep his job. I was going to quit my job. And I was going to go in and work during the week, and then he would come help me after work. And we launched 212 May of 2017 on Mother's Day. And I think I worked, like, no joke, like 100 hours in a row. Like, it was just, we started on a Thursday. I think our first week we did like 1,000 meals, which was like mind boggling. And I can remember Mother's Day at like 2 a.m. So Sunday, 2 a.m., really Monday morning, driving home from the kitchen, knowing that I had to be up at 5 to be at our pickup location, and literally just crying and being like, what in the world did I just get myself into? Like, we have really just messed up. And so it was one of those things at that point, you really can't turn around. You're kind of all in. And we just started rocking and rolling, and we had some connections in the Charlotte area, and we had this crazy idea that we were going to open a pickup location in Charlotte. And that led to Jason and I spending about 64 weeks driving back and forth every week to Charlotte in a truck and staying the night in a hotel and passing out meals. And we thought, hey, if we're going to drive to Charlotte every week, we better have more than one pickup location. And so we started just cold walking into gyms. Hey, we're the Jensen brothers. This is what we do. We'd love to partner up. And yeah, fast forward 6 years later, we have 70 plus locations in Charlotte, Myrtle Beach, Charleston, and we've got 5 new Charlotte locations opening in 2 weeks. We've got Wilmington opening in a week, and we've got more Charleston locations opening next week. So it's one of those things that's kind of evolved. And if I had to do it again, could we do it? I mean, we could do it again. I don't know if I'd want to do it again, but now we're at a great place. Obviously, we love what we do. We've got an amazing staff. We've got 10 full-time chefs, and it's at a really fun part where Jason and I can really work on the business instead of working in the business, and we get to do kind of the fun stuff now with marketing and traveling and being at events and kind of building the brand and focusing on helping as many people as possible. But yeah, it all started out from my love of cooking and me being like, hey, I've got to do something to lose this weight. And so in the end, it's all kind of worked out.
When you and Jason would be in these car rides all those weeks in those early days, would you guys ever have conversations and be like, what are we doing, dude? Or these horror stories, and you're like, or, you know, the dream about, hey, where we want to take this? Like, what were those conversations like? Because that's a lot of time to spend with your brother and business partner.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, we've had thousands of conversations, deep conversations of, hey, where do we want to take this? What's our goals? What's our dreams? And then, you know, people ask us all the time, how do y'all spend so much time together? I mean, we've literally had hour-long conversations about, like, what's your favorite candy? And then we'll break it down into, like, categories and be like, nah, it doesn't fit in that category. Or like, hey, who has the best sub? You know, like, we've literally had full spectrum conversations about everything. And it's crazy. We were just in Charlotte last week for my second bodybuilding show. And that was the first bodybuilding show was Summer Shredding, and that was a transformation show. And that's the one that I won the whole thing. And that was kind of, you know, they showed a before and an after and a before picture. I came out on stage, and that was what I was really excited to be a part of. And that's when I'm going to go to Texas in October and compete for the championship. But the following week, there was an actual NPC, like real bodybuilding show in Charlotte. And I thought, hey, I'm already in great shape. I might as well go test my skills against people who actually have been doing this that didn't lose, you know, 150 pounds. And so we went, and there was a really cool moment. We were sitting in the hotel, and I was with my wife and my kids, and I was actually with my in-laws. My parents hadn't arrived yet. And sitting in the hotel lobby, you could see across the street, there was a rooftop bar. And I said, hey, kids, you guys want to know something really cool? I said 5 years ago, Uncle Jason and I stood on that rooftop and we looked over this city and we said, hey, one day we're going to be the biggest meal prep company in Charlotte. And, you know, fast forward 5 years later, we have over 40 locations and we're by far the biggest meal prep company in Charlotte. That's not even based in Charlotte. And so that was kind of a cool moment with the boys to just kind of like, hey, when you have a dream, when you have a goal and you're willing to like work your face off, like stuff can happen. But it's so funny. We still like we're getting ready to hit the road again and go launch locations and be in our trucks. And some days I look at how far we've come and I'm like, man, I can't believe how big of a business we've built. And some days we'll be in the truck together and I'm like, man, I can't believe we're still driving these trucks around delivering refrigerators. But it's one of those things that when you're hungry and you're excited about what you're doing, you're just having fun, you know, getting to that next step as an entrepreneur. And especially now someone who really loves fitness, I think evolution is what keeps us going, right? Always getting better is where you actually find true happiness. That's why that so many people say, you know, learn to enjoy the journey. And I think that's such a great thing because yeah, like you never arrive. Like, you know, I finished the bodybuilding show. I won. Like I felt great for 10 minutes. And then I was like, all right, what's next? Like, let's get ready for October. So especially if you're listening to this, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're in fitness, like stop worrying about playing a game with finite rules. Like I feel like everyone tries to play life in this game of like, there's a winner and there's a loser. And what you can really learn in great things when it comes to fitness, when it comes to business, when it comes to marriage, relationships, if you'll change from playing this finite game that has rules and winners and losers, and you'll change to an infinite game where the only way to win the game is to continue to play the game, your life will be so much more fulfilling, so much more meaningful, so much more happy. And that's why people have great marriages and they have great relationships and they have great business, because they understand that in order to be successful, success is measured on being able to continue to play. And so great marriages are based on both people being willing to work and to continue to work on the marriage. Great businesses are based on entrepreneurs who are willing to evolve and get better every single day. And great physiques are the same thing. So I think learning that lesson has really helped me, because it just allows me to know that, hey, there's never a rival. You know, we're always going to be playing this game. And as long as we can continue to play, then every day is fun.
Dude, you hit it right on the head. I think I use this phrase, everybody wants to hit a home run, but if you don't swing, you're never going to hit the home run. And you might strike out, but at least you swung. And you got to keep swinging, because eventually you'll connect and you'll hit a home run. And I think when I look at my event, Fittest of the Coast, what I love most about it, it's the process. Hey, as soon as it finishes, I always joke with Morgan, or she jokes with me, and she goes, as soon as it ends, you're depressed. And I'm depressed because you just put so much time, energy, and effort into the process that it then ends, and you enjoy that, and then it's gone. And then for me, I'm just like, okay, I've got to start the process again. I've got to be part of this. I got to continue building. How can we make it better? What can we do to improve, to continue to elevate? And that's what I enjoy the most, is because when you look back, just like you did, you and your brother stood on top of a rooftop, flash forward 5 years, and what you envisioned and what you worked for came to light, right? But it was days, hours, minutes, time spent to get to that point, right? And that's what you look back and you remember. You know, I think it's amazing where you're at, what you've done over the last few years. Imagine 3-4 years from now, right? When you look back and you go, okay, well, now we kind of thought we couldn't get here, but when we flash forward, you're like, wow, look at where we're at. And that's what I love, when you retrospect and you look back and you're like, man, it was worth it. It was worth it.
No doubt. And things that people need to learn is in business, in marriage, in fitness, there's a compound effect, right? So like, what took us 5 years to get 40 locations in Charlotte, and you know, we're five years or almost 6 years in, and we're at like 70 locations. We could probably get another 70 locations in a year if we wanted to at this point, because of the compound effect. And the same thing, like my marriage gets better every single year, right? Like my physique from this point forward is going to get better and better and better. And same thing with Fittest of the Coast. Like I've watched it, only being a part of it now for 2 years in a row, mind boggling the amount of change in 1 year. Like I can't imagine how it's going to look 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, because you get smarter, you get more efficient, especially in business, you get more access to things like capital. And, you know, I can remember starting like, man, we couldn't get a bank to give us $1. I can get 17 people to give me, you know, $500,000 to $1 million now. It's crazy when you don't need money, how much money people are willing to give you. When you need it, they don't want to give it to you at all. But that's the same thing with everything in life. If you just put your head down, do the work, the compound effect will kick in. And that's honestly the biggest struggle that I see with people trying to lose weight is they just want to lose the weight and be done. And it's like, it just doesn't work like that, right? Fitness and nutrition has to become a way of life. If you just lose the weight and then you're done and you go back to how you used to live, you're going to gain all the weight back. You know, if you just do enough to have a good marriage this week and then you go back to being sucky, you're not going to have a great marriage the following week. Same thing with business. If you just do enough, you know, eventually it's going to go backwards. And so if you're not growing, you're dying. And so when people can just get that through their head and they can just stay on that path of like, just stay the course, the compound effect will kick in. And yeah, it's crazy what can happen.
So Jeff, what makes 212 meal prep so unique? There's a lot of meal prep companies out there. You guys are the best in my opinion, hands down. We were joking actually before you came on, we were talking about the steak burritos that you guys make. And I actually had a guy in my office who I work with you guys sponsored some golf event, and he knows that I know you guys. He comes into my office the other day. He's like, dude, I think I'm going to start buying 212 meals. And I goes, great, man. You're going to love it. And he's like, what's your favorite? I goes, the steak burrito. It's phenomenal. So how do you guys make your products so unique? And so, what is that? What is the secret sauce for you guys?
Yeah. So I think there's a couple things. One, we started out with an actual background in food. And so I've seen a lot of things in the fitness industry, which there's no issue with this, but a lot of times in the fitness industry, companies are started by fitness people who have a background in fitness, who have always been fit, who have been bodybuilders, who have, whatever, not necessarily been culinary people. And so I had an extensive background in food and culinary. They also say never trust a skinny chef. When we started this, I was really fat. And so obviously I had a great palate for food. So that's just me being funny, but we use extremely high quality ingredients. That's one thing. When we started, I said that we would never do is chintz on our ingredients. Every year we try and get better and better. And if we have a lot of clients who have been with us for over 5 years. And so I think that they can even attest to this. We are 10x better from a product standpoint than when we first started. And it's one, because we've gotten better. Our staff has gotten better, but then we continue to source higher quality ingredients every single year. And as we grow, we dump a ton of money back into the company to make sure that we have the best process in place. A great example is all of our food is cooked and then flash cooled, and then it never leaves refrigeration. So once it's flash cooled, it gets weighed and plated inside of a walk-in cooler. It gets packaged. It gets bagged. It goes from the walk-in cooler to a refrigerated truck. That refrigerated truck then delivers it to our location, and it's loaded into a commercial refrigerator at that location. And then the client picks up the product and takes it home. Now, there are numerous other companies that do meal prep that don't do any of that. They cook the food, they cool it. It's then plated in, a normal temperature kitchen. And then sometimes it's delivered not inside of a refrigerated vehicle. And so what we're doing is we're ensuring freshness, and we never freeze any of our products. And so a lot of times in the meal prep industry nowadays, because of direct to consumer, because of convenience, a lot of meal prep is coming frozen. Because it's a lot easier to do, right? We cram an insane amount of work into a 3-day window, which is very, very difficult to do, but it makes for a very high quality product. And then the other thing is we love food. At the end of the day, I'm a foodie. Anytime I travel, I'm always looking for the best places to eat. And a lot of our menu items come from my experiences of traveling and going to restaurants and saying okay, I really like this food. How can we make a clean version of it for 212? One of our most popular dishes, which I'm sure one day we'll have to change the name because we'll get big enough to get their attention, but we have a Big Mac bowl. And it's one of our highest selling dishes. And it's just from the pure fact, as a kid growing up, I freaking loved Big Macs. And, who doesn't love a good smash burger with a special sauce? And so we came up with our own rendition of, extra lean ground beef. We keep it a little bit dirty. We use tater tots, but we bake them. We have our own special sauce that we make. That's a low fat special sauce. And then we top it with, diced onions, pickles, and shredded lettuce. And it tastes pretty darn close to a Big Mac, but not all the saturated fats and all the other garbage that's inside of fast food. And so I think those are the biggest things. And then Jason and I are extremely hands-on when it comes to customer service. And no matter what, at the end of the day, even if we didn't create the issue, I've had people in the past, they haven't picked up their food. It's been 2 weeks, whatever the reason, they didn't show up to pick it up. And then they reach out, hey, I ordered food 2 weeks ago and I just showed up to pick it up. It's not here. I'm like, that food's gone. It's also probably moldy in a trash can by now, but if it's the first time, what do I end up doing? I end up refunding them, because at the end of the day, I know that like, hey, I'd rather lose a little bit on the front end and take care of someone if it was an honest mistake or whatever. But for us, it's like always doing the right thing is the right thing. And so we keep that core value really close to us. And we know that we're going to create a lot of loyalty. We're very big on, we don't want just a one-time customer. We're looking for clients, right? We're looking to not have customers. We're looking to have clients. We're looking for people who use us week in and week out, that love the food, that tell people about the food. And we have an insane retention rate. We have like over an 80% retention rate of people that use us. We've had people using us from day one that still order to this day. And so that's something we are extremely proud of. And every single day we come in here and we try and figure out, all right, how do we get better? Where can we, it was even one of those things when I started doing bodybuilding, I really noticed how important it was to weigh food out, right? Like there's a big difference between volume and weight. And when you get really, really dialed into your nutrition, you start to realize that weight matters. And so in that moment, so over a year ago, I changed all of our processes, and now every protein that we use is weighed, which is a killer on payroll. Like it adds so much time, because we used to take a volume scoop and we would know like, okay, a 6-ounce scoop equals X amount weight. And so it was very close, but it wasn't precise. It wasn't exact, because if the scoop was a little bit heavier, the scoop was a little bit lighter, you could be off a little bit. But now every single dish, every protein that we put on that dish is weighed on a scale before it's put into a container, to make sure that all of our dishes are as close to being perfect as possible.
That's actually an incredible process that I wasn't aware of. So I got 2 questions on that. What is flash freezing? And then what is the most amount of meals you guys have made in a week? What's the record?
So flash cooling, so we don't flash freeze. So flash cooling is just where we take, so like from a health department standpoint, you have 6 hours to get your food. When you cook food like chicken breast, for example, it needs to be cooked to 165 degrees to be considered safe. So when you are in a restaurant, if you're not holding food for service, meaning, you go to a Carolina Roadhouse, they cook a chicken breast, it goes out to your table. Let's say that they're going to cook that chicken breast, they're going to cool it, and they're going to serve it the next day. You basically have 6 hours to get that chicken breast from 165 degrees under 40 degrees Fahrenheit. That is your time allotment from a health standpoint. That's considered safe. We do that process in like an hour and a half. So we cool things at like rapid speed. And what that does is it allows all of the moisture and all of the nutrition, everything to be kind of locked in to place. And that's why if you've ever eaten our chicken or our steak, like it's never dry, it's never chewy or tough. It tastes like it was just cooked for you. And the big misconception that people have with meal prep is they think leftovers, right? And so you meal prep at your house, you cook a bunch of chicken breast, you put it into containers, you throw it in your refrigerator with the lid on it, and it's hot. And now it's kind of steaming in its own container, which is not safe. But I'm not going to, home people, you do your meal prep how you want to do your meal prep. But when we flash cool it, it's going to lock in all that moisture, the juices, all that goodness. And then it never leaves that under 40 degree temperature. So it's just keeping the product as fresh as possible. Most of our items like chicken breast, steak, all of that stuff is cooked and then flash cooled and then it's sliced. And so if you've ever made like a steak at home and you've ever watched like a cooking show, what do they always say about your meat? You should let your meat rest, right? Like, oh, you cook a steak, let it rest for 10 minutes. Most people are like, I'm hungry, I just want to cut into it. They cut into it and then all of the liquid, a lot of people think that's blood. It's not actually blood, but all the liquid then runs everywhere. What happens when you let your food, your protein rest? Protein's a muscle, right? So it's getting cooked, so it's going to expand and contract. And so when you let it cool, all those juices basically contract back into the muscle. And so that flash cooling process allows everything to just stay way more tender, way more juicier, way more fresh. yeah, that's that process. As far as meals go, I think our biggest week ever was 5,600 and something meals. And right now we kind of are averaging anywhere between like 4,800 and 5,200. And yeah, we're getting ready to open like 8 more locations. So our goal is in the next 6 months to kind of hit that 6,000 meal mark, and then start planning for the future. We can probably do about 6,500 meals at our current facility. And then we're really excited to build a facility or find another area that we can kind of retrofit. And our goal in the next 3 years is to do anywhere between 10 and 20,000 meals a week. So
that's awesome, man. That is fantastic. So if somebody was interested in being a pickup location, purchasing meals, how does that process work?
Yeah, so if you want to order meals, super simple, 212meals.com. You can go online. We have a pickup locations tab, top left-hand corner. You can put in your address and it will pull up the pickup location nearest you. Currently, we are in the Grand Strand area, all over Conway, Myrtle Beach, North Myrtle Beach, Garden City, Pawleys Island, Socastee, the whole area. We are in Charleston, pretty much covering the entire area of Charleston. And then we're all over Charlotte, Fort Mill, Rock Hill, and then the entire area of Charlotte. So if you live in Charlotte, there's a great chance that we have a pickup location very close to you. We are opening Wilmington very soon. We already have our first pickup location locked in, and we'll launch them, and then we'll start meeting with gyms and getting things set up. If you're interested in becoming a pickup location, 2 options. We have a tab on our website that you can click on and send us an email, or you can send me an email at Jeffrey, Jeffrey, at 212meals.com. So 212meals.com. And I'm happy to chat. We are definitely, I know you have a big presence in the Charleston area. We're definitely looking to add probably another 5 locations in Charleston. And then if you are in the Wilmington area and you happen to watch this podcast, we're getting ready to open up Wilmington, and we have probably about 12 to 15 slots that we will be able to fill in the area. And from what I've been able to research, Wilmington looks like it has a great CrossFit community, and same with Charleston. Charleston's got an epic CrossFit community. So we're definitely looking to add some more locations. Charlotte, if you're watching this, we're pretty much maxed out, but feel free to reach out. If we can make it work, we will. But I think we have 5 new locations launching there, and we said 5 locations ago that we wouldn't add any more. But
yeah, so if you're listening, what about the Raleigh-Durham area? We got a lot of folks from the Raleigh-Durham area, Virginia, even the upstate of South Carolina. We're moving into Atlanta. Is 212 are you guys envisioning a scenario where eventually you expand to other markets?
Yep. So the goal in the next 3 to 5 years is to be in every major city in North and South Carolina. Raleigh is definitely going to be after Wilmington. So Raleigh will be probably next. The Hilton Head Bluffton area is pretty high up on the list. Columbia, South Carolina is pretty high. We've had a lot of people from both Hilton Head, Columbia reach out. Raleigh was going to happen before Wilmington, but Wilmington is just a little bit easier. Logistically, we can get that done on one of the routes that we already have. The upstate, we want to be there so bad. I know they have lots of great CrossFit in the upstate. There's a lot of great tournaments and stuff that we'd love to be a part of. Honestly, that will probably be the last place we tackle, only because it's a good 5 hours from here. And we've just got to kind of figure out some logistics on how to make that happen, more from a safety standpoint of our drivers, because to drive 5 hours and then start a route that takes 10 hours is just a lot. So we've got some logistics we've got to figure out, whether that's opening another hub or something in the upstate, but it's definitely coming. And then I'm not going to say no to Georgia or Virginia. I think that there is definitely potential for, if you're already in Bluffton and Hilton Head, you might as well go to Savannah. And if you're already heading towards the upstate, Atlanta's not too far. So Virginia Beach, all those places are definitely not out of the question, but definitely all major cities in North and South Carolina. That is kind of our thing. We want to be known as the Carolinas' best and #1 meal prep company. And to do that, we need to be able to hit all of the Carolinas.
Well, you guys are well on your way, and I'm extremely proud of what you guys are doing. Proud of your personal journey, Jeff, just to look back at that conversation we had in October and to see you not only hit that goal, but excel, beat that goal. You won the competition. I'll be pulling for you when you go to Texas later this year. And Jeff, appreciate you joining us today.
Yeah, man. Super, super fun. Love the relationship that we've been building with you guys. Super excited for Fittest to the Coast this year. And yeah, man, you guys are absolutely crushing it. Blown away by everything that you guys have been able to do, and just watching that competition just explode. It's been really, really fun. So appreciate you guys having me on, and I look forward to the next thing.